Okay, so this is how to make a financial model that includes balance sheet, cash flow statement, income statement, debt, and depreciation. To do a financial model, you got to start with a business. For this business, I'm going to use marijuana, weed. Here's a public document done for, I think, the state of Washington on weed production when they were thinking about some taxes. You can find it online. It's also referenced in my book. Scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. Finally, you find something called Producer Financial Model Financials. It's not really a financial model. It's really sort of a single pro forma income statement. We're going to take this and we're going to turn into a complete dynamic multi-year, multi-month, multi-quarter financial model, okay? So first thing I'm going to do is I just take a quick look at this. Got gross revenue at the top. Great. Costs come down, some variables. Skilled labor, whatever, rent, it's got a bunch of stuff here, workers' comp, blah, blah, blah. It's got some net, total net of a legal operation, blah, blah, net of a legal operation after excise tax. They're trying to show the difference between this excise tax before and after. We don't care about that. We may throw it in there. That's up to you. So, first thing I need to do is I need to get this into a spreadsheet. So, honestly, I'm just going to select it and paste it or retype the whole thing. I don't know. I'll figure it out in a moment. Alright, so literally I cannot cut and paste this thing because it shows up in one column. So I'm just going to retype it. It won't take more than a couple of minutes. Okay, so it turns out this thing is pretty simple. I'm going to do a bunch of cleanup here. You can watch, or you go get yourself a cup of coffee, but it'll be sped up anyway. So first of all, I'm going to call this my weed. Oh, that's good spelling there, Steve. Financial model. Jesus, can't spell. Alright, so as I clean this thing up, you'll notice I added the business and occupation tax and the state excise tax. I'll show you what those are. If I pull this thing back here, the model at the bottom has these B&O tax, state excise tax. So you had to read the document. And the reality is, with a unit financial model, there will be unique aspects to any business. So this business has a B&O tax of 0.484%, and these other taxes. So basically, what I'm doing is I'm making sure that my model matches reality to a certain extent, right? You can never be perfect, but you can try. So I'm going to do a little bit more cleanup here. All right, so I just want to explain what more cleanup I'm going to do. So if you look at the model here, you can see, whoops, you can see a bunch of different categories of labor. Now, because this model is based on an illicit and illegal operation, i.e., a weed producer who isn't following all the rules isn't going to pay these particular fees down here. I think they pay security costs, but whatever. I'm going to merge everything that's related to labor, workers' comp, payroll, employee benefits. I'm going to merge those into one line. And then I'm also going to move this thing around so I sort of have variable costs and fixed costs, okay? So you're gonna see me do that, all right? And it's gonna look a little cleaner. Okay, so it's getting a little cleaner. You can see I've got my fixed costs here, my benefits, workers' comp, all merged. There's my salaries, there's rent, there's startup amortization. We'll talk about that later. Insurance, security costs, whatever. Business expense. Now we talked about how the business and occupation tax is 0.484% of some figure. So in this column right here, I'm going to start putting my 0.484% is 0.00484 in math. And I got two periods there, which I'm going to get rid of. Okay, and generally when I put a constant into a spreadsheet, I change its color to blue. Okay, so I know that this is a constant. It means I put it in there. Now, obviously, I put these numbers in there. They're not functions, but they're going to change. Okay, some of them will, some of them won't. Okay, so there's my percent there. This column is going to be where all my percents live. It's a C column, okay? So I'm going to do a little more cleanup here and there. One thing I'm missing is how does 500,000 in gross revenue appear? What's the function of that? How do I figure out that I made $500,000? Well, there's a quantity of weed produced if you read the document, and again, you know, on any of these documents, you're going to find there's a function of how you get your revenue. So gross producer with 500,000. So I'm going to scan this document in just a second, and I'm going to look for how they came up with $500,000. All right, so here we go. So right up here in this paragraph, he says that the average producer will grow 200 pounds of marijuana and sell it for $2,500 each. That equals $500,000. We're going to put that in the model right now. Okay, so we're going to actually have pounds of marijuana, if I can spell it properly, produced and price per pound. Okay, and in fact, we happen to know that the price per pound is $2,500. Okay, whoops. $2,500 per pound, okay, and the pounds produced is 200, and we know that the revenue is actually not a constant, it's a function of that number times that number. Now here's what's interesting. The C6, which is the pounds of marijuana produced, I'm going to actually type F4, 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 F4. You see how it's changing the whether it's got dollar signs in front of it? That makes that a constant, okay? So the price per pound is now a constant, and the pounds per year is variable. There we go. And again, we're gonna F4, whoops, F4, I suck. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay, now this again goes blue, right, because it's a constant. All right, so now gross revenue is a function of price and quantity, basic economics. That's just beautiful. Okay, we're going to delete that. There we go. Okay, so our basic income statement is looking more like an income statement, and it's variable. Okay, because I'm going to show you something else. Okay, so year 2, let's say we're going to assume a growth rate of 10%. Okay, 10% growth. Okay, let's put that in as a constant. Okay, and now this well equals this times 1 plus our growth rate. There we go. And of course, we'll make our growth rate a constant. There we go. Whoops. There we go. Okay, so now we have 220, and we can literally just drag that, and look, 550 works perfectly. Okay, and this is how this can work. You could also have a growth rate in price, for example, 5%. And we could have the price change too. We're not going to do that right now, okay? All right, then let's drag this out again. It'll go up by another 10%. So each year you're going to produce another 10%. I really suck at this drag and drop shit. Okay, that 10% growth is pretty high. Let's put in a 2% growth rate. There we go, 2% growth rate. So now our model is now dynamic in terms of revenue, okay?